Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I recently put out a video of the Sahaara bralette pattern and review doing view A, which was the bra tulle version. I saw several comments that were interested in other views, so I decided to make independent videos for those views as well. This video is for the lace version or view C of this pattern. The first thing you're going to need to do is figuring out your size. To determine your size, you need two measurements. The pattern designer recommends that you take these measurements with your bra on or a bra on. The first is going to be a rib cage measurement. You want to go below your bust tissue and making sure that your measuring tape runs parallel to the floor. This is going to be your rib cage or band size. In my case, my rib cage measures 32 inches, but I know from the last bra that I made that I kind of wanted a tighter band, so I'm going to go ahead and use the 30 band today. The second measurement you're going to need is your full bust measurement. So this is going around the fullest portion of your bust, the part that sticks out the most. Obviously, I'm not working with a whole lot. And you're going to take that measurement and you want to take the difference between your full bust and your under bust measurement. So in my case, my full bust measurement is 36, my under bust is 32, and the difference is 4. When I look at the chart, I see that a 4-inch difference corresponds to a C cup. So I'm going to be printing out a C cup for my pattern today. The materials that I'll be using in today's video were purchased several years ago from Beware out of Sweden. I do not believe this kit is any longer available, but it does go to show you that you can purchase just sort of like generalized bra kits and have all the materials you'll need to make the Sahaara bralette. Personally, I think that view C or the lace version is probably the most complicated views of the pattern available because it has both the lining and the exterior lace. You're also working with scallops and thinking about all of those things. So the construction does vary a little bit from view to view to view. So if you're interested in seeing anything more about the solid version or the bra tulle version, I've linked both of those videos down in the description box below, and you can jump straight through them. If you're interested in learning more about the lace version, then stick with me. Let's move on to my sewing table and get started.
First, let's take a look at our pattern pieces. We have our outer and inner cup. These are the same cup pieces that we've used for all views of the Sahaara bralette. There isn't very much difference between the cup pattern pieces themselves, only the grain lines that are demarked on there. So if you've already printed out one cup, you don't really need to print out another one. I'm going to be making a 30C today, so I printed out the C cups. Next, I need to print out the frame. This portion is similar to all of the other views of the bra, but it does have slightly different lengths. We have a regular length and a long line length. The lace version of this bra is intended to be made so that the scalloped edges of the lace will fall along the bottom of the bra. That's why you'll need to print out the separate one, because these are slightly different lengths than the other views of the bra. So same as the front frame piece, you'll also need to print out the front band or the back band piece in the view C version as well. I'm going to be doing the regular length, so I have folded up my pattern to be the regular length. When I'm cutting out my materials, I'm going to cut lots and lots of different materials, so let's go ahead and look at those now. First, I have my cup pieces. The pattern calls for using a sheer cup lining. However, I had a kit that I purchased from Beware that I really wanted to go ahead and use. So I'm going to use the lining material that came in my kit, which I believe is like a simplex or something like that. It's very lightweight. It's still non-stretch, but it has a nice shiny sheen and it works really well with my lace. So feel free to sort of experiment. You don't have to use the exact materials as specified in the pattern. So I have 2 of my outer and 2 of my inner cups cut out of this lining material. I've also cut my outer and inner cups out of my lace material. For my inner cups, that is the ones that are going to be going along the neckline, I've made sure to include the scalloped edge of my lace. When I'm cutting this out, I want the straight edge of the pattern piece is what's going to go with your scallops of your lace. And when you're cutting it out, you sort of want to cut it so that the bottom of the pattern piece just hits at all the low points of that scallop. So you will have some excess material that sticks out further than your pattern. That's completely fine as long as the low points are hitting on your straight line. When I'm cutting out lace, I like to cut the first one out with my pattern piece, and then I'll flip it over upside down and then try to align it on my lace so that I have an exact mirror. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out using my first cut piece as my guide. This gives me the best sort of mirror of pattern. You'll see that all of these things are matching up precisely, and so you get a nice symmetric view along that center front neckline. The outer cut pieces are also cut out in lace, but we don't have to worry about the scalloped edges at all. Just making sure that you have your grain line, that is your direction of greatest stretch, moving along with the lace itself. Next, I cut out my front frame piece. Again, I've done this in both my lining material and my lace. For my front frame piece, I want the edges or the scalloped edges of my lace to go along the bottom edge of my front frame piece. Just like I did with the cups, making sure that the low point of the scallops is hitting right along the edge of my pattern piece. This will allow the scalloped edges to sort of extend beyond my lining, and so you get that nice pretty edge effect. And then last we have our back band piece. It looks like I've forgotten to cut my power net, so I'm going to go ahead and do that before I get started. But I've also cut my back band piece out in some lace as well. And just like for the front frame, I have the sort of scallop edges lying along the bottom edge of my pattern piece right here. This is going to give me the nice overall lace effect that's going to extend around the entirety of the bra. That's one of the reasons why she has told you to use a stretch lace for this particular pattern. If you didn't want to use stretch lace, let's say you want to use a non-stretch embroidered lace, because there are very many out there that are gorgeous, you could go ahead and use them in the cups and front frame, but of course the back band needs to be stretchy, so if you're using a non-stretch lace, just omit the lace from the back band piece. In addition, you're going to need some strap elastic, some wider picot elastic, some fold over elastic, hook and eyes, and rings and sliders. Let's get started. The first step I'm going to do is to create my cups. I want to get my 4 pieces, so my 2 outer and 2 inner of both my lace and lining material. So first I'm going to get my lining material together. I do have sort of a shinier side and a duller side. I'm actually going to make it so the shiny side is touching my body, because you're not really going to be able to get the benefit of that shine once I put the lace over top of it. So I'm going to make the prettier side what touches my body. So right now I have the pretty side all facing down. Then I need to arrange my pieces. So now I have my 2 inner cup pieces. You can tell that these are the inner cups because they do have the straight neckline edge. Then I have my 2 outer cup pieces. The outer cups are slightly wider, and those are going to go together. I'm also going to align my lace on the top of it with the right side of my lace facing up. I like to sort of organize everything like this, to make sure I've cut everything in the correct direction, but just to orient me so I have stuff looking the nicest it can be. So now that I have my cups all planned out, I can go ahead and start putting them together. I'm going to set 1 cup aside for now. The first thing that I'm going to do is align my inner cup pieces on top of each other. So we have the lace and lining piece sitting perfectly like this. I'm going to go ahead and pin along this curved edge. Now I'm going to take my lace piece from the outer cup and flip it over, so we're going to have right sides touching. I'm going to align my notch marks on my cups and then go ahead and repin this into place along that curved edge. Now I'm going to take this and turn it around to the other side. So we should have our lining facing up now. I'm going to go ahead and put my other outer cup piece along the bottom of the lining. So if you're doing this correctly, you'll have lining, lining, lace, lace. You'll also have the 2 outer cup pieces as the bread of your sandwich, and the inner cut pieces as the meat of your sandwich. I'm going to repeat this for the second cup. Then I'm going to take this over to my machine and sew with a straight stitch at 1/4 inch along this curve. Now my 2 cup pieces have been sewn along that curved edge. The next thing I'm going to do is sort of open out my outer cup pieces. If you've done this correctly, you'll see that your seam allowance is now hidden in between the two layers. So on the front, you can see just lace and lace, and on the back, you can see you have a nice clean seam. Next, I'm going to run a line of top stitching along that center front seam. I'm going to use a zigzag stitch because I personally think that a zigzag is a little bit more hidden on a textured lace than a straight stitch is. And I'm going to go ahead and top stitch with the zigzag on both of my center cup seams so that everything is lying flat and secure. Here's what it looks like after I've done that line of zigzag top stitching from the outside and from the inside. We're going to be finishing this edge of the cup later on once it's put into the bra, but I do want to take care of the neck seam right now. So in the other tutorials I've given, I've just finished this with fold-over elastic. Obviously, since we have the scalloped edge of the lace, I don't want to cover that with fold-over elastic. So what I'm going to do instead is just use some stabilizer tape just along the edge of the lining piece, and I'm going to sew probably with a wide zigzag stitch. You could also use a straight stitch going along either edge of your stabilizer materials just to secure that into place. Here's what it looks like with that stabilizer in place. It turns out I didn't like the look of the zigzag, so I did go back through, pick it out, and redo it with a straight stitch on either side. So this is what it looks like from the inside and what it looks like from the outside. This will make sure that that neckline is nice and stabilized, and it still allows you to see the scalloped edge of the lace. The next step is going to be putting this into the frame. The frame is also going to be 2 layers. So I'm going to have a bottom layer of this simplex and a top layer of my lace. I'm going to be using the alternative method for inputting the cups into the frame because I think it gives me the nicest finish. So first what I'm going to do is have just my lace sitting out and my 2 cups, figuring out where they fit in. So making sure you have them sitting in the right side. Then I'm going to take my cup and flip it downwards. I'm going to align my edge of my cup probably about 1/4 of an inch down from that center front point. And I'm going to pin it into place. I'm also going to pin at that cross cup seam because there is a notch in my lace that allows me to know where that goes, and along the outside. So pinning my cup all along this curve. Once I have my cup pinned into place, I'm going to take my lining frame and put that on top. So the cup is going to be in between your frame pieces, so your lining and your outer frame. Again, pinning that into place along the curve. I find with this method, it's easier to put one cup in completely and then move to the second cup. This is a little bit different than how the directions say to do it, but it's the way that I find that I get the best results with. Now that I'm happy with how everything is pinned, I'm going to take this over to my machine and sew with a straight stitch at 1/4 of an inch along that pinned edge. I'm going to start in 1/4 of an inch down from my center front point there because I do need to leave myself space to put in the second cup on the other side. So now I have my first cup sewn in, I can go ahead and do my second cup. The first thing I'm going to do is sort of open it up and pin my first cup out of the way just to make sure that I'm not accidentally sewing into it when I'm doing my second. That's a fairly easy mistake to make. So now I want to sort of do the same method as we did before. I have my lace sitting down and my cup, how it fits in. I'm going to flip my cup upside down and secure it in to this edge. Once your cup is pinned to the lace, now you can go ahead and sandwich your lining on top. Now I'm going to sew with a straight stitch at 1/4 of an inch along that pinned edge. When I get to this corner point in the very center front, I am going to go over it a couple of times just to make sure it's super secure. Now I have both cups sewn in, and you can see I've gone over a couple of times on that point. I've cut up just the very tip to make sure I've removed bulk in that section. Now we can sort of flip everything to the correct way around. And you can see we get a nice sharp point in the center front, and you get nice lace all from the outside of the bra. And from the inside, we have all of our lining and all of our seam allowances are now tucked inside a way that won't be able to interfere or scratch against our body. So the next step I'm going to do is a line of top stitching just along that sort of arc that we've completed with our 2 cut pieces in. Again, I'm going to use a zigzag stitch because I think it looks a little bit more invisible on a textured lace. Here's what it looks like once it's been top stitched into place. You can see it's lying much flatter, and then from the inside it just looks like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach my backband materials. I'm going to do the encased seam just like we've done for the rest of the bra. So the first step is to take your lace and I want to lie it right sides together, so the right side of my lace touching the right side of my bra, and with that flat edge lining up along the side. I'm going to pin that into place. Then I'm going to flip it over to the inside, and I'm going to pin my power net, so this is my strength layer of my stretchy backband, along the inside, along that straight edge. So we have power net on the inside, lace on the outside. We're going to go ahead and stitch this with a straight stitch at 1/4 inch. Once you've sewn your back band into place, you can go ahead and open out the bottom and the top, and then top stitch this down. Again, I'm going to use a zigzag. I've already gone ahead and done that over here, so you can see exactly what that looks like. You get a nice, flat, firm seam, and then transition from the non-stretch front to the super stretchy back band. So I'm going to go ahead and top stitch over here and meet you back. Next, I'm going to tackle the bottom. So we already have our nice pretty scalloped edge, so I'm not going to want to cover that up with any additional elastic. So instead, I'm going to do something really easy. I'm going to take some picot elastic. And I'm just going to apply it straight to the inside of the bra here, making sure that it doesn't peek out past any of my lace. That way I have the strength from the elastic, but I haven't interrupted any of my scallops of the lace. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on with a zigzag stitch both on the straight edge as well as the picot edge. You're not going to see this elastic at all from the outside of the bra. This is what it looks like with the elastic applied from the outside and from the inside of the bra. You can see I've just run a line of zigzag stitching on either edge of the elastic to firmly secure it in place and cover up the edges of all of my fabric pieces. Now we can turn our attention to the underarm edge. I'm going to use a fold over elastic for this, just like we've done for the rest of the views of this bra. The fold over elastic has a center fold point, which should be fairly visible when you're looking at it. You want to align the edge of your fabric with that center fold point. And then simply fold the elastic over top of it and secure it into place with the zigzag stitch. I like to give myself just a little bit of tug or stretch in the elastic as I'm sewing along to prevent any lettucing or waving. Here's what it looked like with this underarm edge covered. I have left myself a little bit extra length of the fold over elastic at the upper cup here, which is where I'm going to attach my strap to later on. Next, I'm going to work on my straps. I've decided to go for an entirely stretched strap on this bra. I just find them a little less finicky and it's my preference. So I'm going to get 2 pieces of strap elastic, 18 inches each. Next, I'm going to get 2 rings and 2 sliders. If you want to do the non-stretch straps that are used in this pattern, I've done that when I did view A, and you can view that by the link in the iCards above here. So for the stretch straps, what I'm going to do is take one end with my strap with the right sides facing up. I'm going to go up through the left-hand side of my slider and then back down through the right-hand side. Then I'm just going to secure that into place with a straight stitch back and forth. Now that I have my slider attached, I'm going to take the other end of my strap, the strap side that has no hardware, and thread my ring onto it. Now I'm looking at my strap with the wrong side facing up. So this is the plush side. And I'm going to loop it around, and I'm going to take the no hardware side and go up through the right side of my slider and then back down the left side. This is what it should look like when you're finished. The ring will attach to the bra, and then you have the ability to adjust the length of your strap using the slider. Next, I'm going to attach my straps to my bra, but before I do so, I need to check the height of my back band. I'm going to take my hook and eye and put it on here, and I can see that my back band is too tall. So it's easy enough now to go ahead with your scissors, sort of redefine that back scoop. Check it again. And that's looking good, and I'm going to go ahead and do that on the other side as well. Now that it's all been adjusted, we can go ahead and attach our straps. So I'm going to take my straps with the right side facing up, and I'm going to go to the end that has none of the hardware, and I'm going to align it along that edge of that scoop, and I'm going to put it into place with a zigzag stitch along both sides of my straps. Here's what the straps look like once they've been sewn into place. Now we can finish up with our hook and eye. With the right side of the bra facing up, I want to take my hides and look at the right side of my right side bra. I'm going to take this flap or envelope in the hook and eye, open it up, and then just pin it out of the way. I'm going to align the edge of my bra with that folded edge of my eye. Now I'm going to sew with a straight stitch, probably about 1/4 of an inch away, because I want to make sure that I avoid all of those metal materials that's in my eye. This is what it looks like when it's sewn into place. We can now remove the pin and take this outer flap and fold it down. Now I'm going to sew with another straight stitch along that edge there to finally secure it into place. You don't have to worry about it moving around at all because we've already secured the bottom. This is what it looks like when it's complete. You should have 1 line of stitching from the outside and 2 lines of stitching on the inside. Now we're going to flip the bra around to the inside. And I'm going to put my hooks on with the hooks facing up. I just put the edge of the bra into that envelope, and now I'm going to sew with a straight stitch just along the edge there. Now the hooks have been sewn into place. You can go ahead and secure up the back of your bra. The last and final step is to attach your straps to the front cup. I like to secure my bra like that in the back so that I can make sure that my straps are coming out straight and aren't twisted. They're going to come up and around over where the body would be, over your shoulders. Then you can thread this extra material from the fold over elastic through your ring and fold it into place. I'm going to secure with a straight stitch back and forth, and that will finish up our bra. And with the straps attached, our Sahaara bralette is done. I really like how it turned out. I think this lace is nice and fun and a perfect addition to my wardrobe.
So here we can see what the finished bra looks like and how it fits on me. Of course, I've made no pattern alterations on this other than to choose a slightly smaller band for my rib cage. I think the fit on this is really good. Of course, the only thing I would kind of want to change is to make a slight adjustment to the back band to maybe raise this 1/2 inch just to cover some of this extra fluff that I have there. Rubies Bras has a fitting tutorial with 5 common things that people need to change, and I highly recommend watching that video if you have time or you need to make slight alterations to your bras. Hopefully everyone has enjoyed this video of the Sahaara bralette. If you like more intense sew-along, something that shows really close-up versions of the sewing machine, I highly recommend checking out Rubies Bras sew-along pattern because it's really thorough and really well done. Take care, everyone. I'll see you next time.